25, we'll see what happens.
I wanna feel everything, yeah, 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 everything, yeah. I got my eyes low with the sky falls where the rhyme flows. I don't really know just what we might go with the mind scope. So many things I never learned with my eyes closed. Too busy with the schemes.
Hey, I'm back. We haven't done a video in a little while. I figured I would show you guys what we've been up to. Actually, I lied. I'm not going to show you guys anything. But we are working on a project again finally, so I figured I'd pick up the camera and film some stuff. Okay. If you guys don't remember, I'm going to take you on a journey back in time and explain what we're doing with this super clapped out 350Z that we got off the freaking internet for like $1,000. There is one Nissan thing on my list of things to do this week. If you guys remember Raven from a few videos ago, we turboed his automatic 350Z. He was a little low on oil a couple weeks back, and it's been making like a ticking noise, and he's terrified that it might be rod knock.
You hear that little bit of beat when we're turning? Is that the leak, you think? When we're accelerating?
Oh, now I hear it. Oh no.
Right there.
There it is. Your oil it was thick because it was so cold. You remember our friend Raven, how his engine blew up? We're actually gonna run out to this guy's house, and he's got a parts 350Z. So right now we're basically gonna head over there and take a look at this Z, and if it's good, we're gonna bring it back to the shop and we'll have a parts Z. Okay, right now we're taking back roads, and I've got Raven's car in tow behind me. I don't know if you guys can see it, but sketchy. These things that we do for these cars, man. We just need this motor and trans, and hopefully we can get it home safe. We'll see you guys back at the shop in a minute. This thing's in kind of rough shape, but it'll be a great donor car to fix your other one. Okay, so basically after we towed this Z here, it sat for a couple months, and we finally scheduled some time where we have a few days and we can take it all apart, get the motor and transmission out, and we can start working on our auto to manual conversion, and Raven can finally take his car to the next level, and we're pretty excited about that. We, you know, didn't really know what we're going to be getting into, and we still kind of don't. We've read some stuff on the internet, and I have a pretty good understanding of the electronics. But I've never actually done it because most people just buy a manual one. In this particular case, we didn't get lucky. You know, Raven's car happened to be automatic to start with, so I figured we should just show you guys the real life version of what it takes to go from an auto to manual. We're obviously doing a little bit more work than just that because Raven blew his motor up, and so this motor is actually the donor for his replacement. So we're switching the motor, putting the manual trans in, and doing the conversion on his auto. Hopefully we'll be able to show you this in as few steps as possible, so any of you trying to do it can do it at home. For sure, if we can fumble through it, you guys can too. So welcome back to the video. It's been like a super long time since I made one. Yeah, life's been a little crazy. We're here in Austin, Texas, and it's, let's say, Tuesday the 24th. And after today, I guess, there's a shelter in place effect as to the COVID-19. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I had a customer drop off a car at the end of last week. It's a ka24de Nissan 240SX, and I have till midnight tonight to try to finish an entire turbo kit and get it on the dyno. So as of right now, I took his factory manifold off, and that's it. Okay, so we're at the shop. I figured I'd show you the 240 SX that we're working on. As you can see, it's a 1995 240 SX, so it's the S14. And these ones pretty much, I think, all came with the dual cam ka24 engine. So we've changed out the motor mounts, and we've TIG welded in the bung, if you can see it way down there, onto the pan, resealed that back up. So basically, we kind of stuck one bolt in the intercooler, and that's kind of where we're at. We've got to run intercooler piping and all the other turbo stuff, oil lines, fittings, the whole shebang. So the actual parts that we have, let me show you a few of them. I said most of them that we got from the CX Racing Company, and that's pretty accurate. We did buy a few other goodies to go with it. We bought like kind of a fancier map sensor. It's a GM3 bar but with a billet plate on it, so that it holds boost well and just helps to get a better signal. An air temp sensor, because we like to add that when we delete the mass airflow, because usually the mass airflow sensor would determine your air temperature as well. We've got, this is one of my favorite new gadgets from AEM, and it is pretty new. It's just an inline, the X series wideband. And what I've noticed is, so on the AEM gauges, the older style that have the gauge itself, you tend to mount the gauge, run the power and ground down to a supply underneath it, and then run the signal over to the ECU. But the weird thing that happens, and I noticed this in my ECU calibration, is that, you know, the sensor is still a 0 to 5 volt signal, right? And if you're grounding all the way over by the sensor, and you're running it all the way over to the ECU, and the ECU is not grounded in the same spot as the gauge, sometimes there's an ECU grounding like voltage offset. So I have to go in the computer and kind of like change it based on the resistance it's seeing. And what I've noticed is if you use the inline sensor, not only is it way more accurate because the inline sensor has a sensor power and a sensor ground and a power and ground for the unit. So you can actually run the power to the sensor and run the ground, or how do I say this the right way? Run the power to the ECU and run the ground to the ECU, and then you get perfect signal. So every time I've done it this way with the inline sensor, in my data logs for tuning, or if you guys are doing auto tuning or that kind of stuff where you're letting it populate your areas and changing it by a percentage of fuel, extremely accurate. So I love the new AEM X series. I have no affiliation with those guys. I don't affiliate with anybody. I don't care. I just use what works. So the other gauges still work fine. They just don't have the sensor ground. So I really do love that. It's super accurate. So if you guys don't feel the need to see the gauge, that's definitely the way that I would go. In my own car, that's what I'll put in. So if you'll notice, we got Raven's car here. And I may do a video on that later and just kind of go through what it took to get it converted from automatic to manual. And yes, we're done. It works. There's a few little quims and qualms with it, and some stuff I just don't like that much. One being where we mount the pedal and the firewall is a little bit more flimsy than on the manual car. So we drilled the holes, mount it, and it seems like the firewall flexes a bit. So we're gonna remedy that. Maybe I'll make a video when we fix that part of it, and I'll tell you all the little things we had to do the auto to manual swap. But I'll be honest, it was so stupid easy. Anybody could do this at home. We basically, I mean, Raven's not a mechanic. He mounted the engine in himself, put his own turbo kit back on himself, and then asked me some questions about some wires that were left. And we just put them onto the new sensors as best as possible. We grounded one relay in the fuse box, which we'll go over another time. And voila, it starts. And I'm sure we've got some stuff to turn off in the computer because it's looking for the automatic transmission, but I know we're pretty happy with that. Okay, I'm going to switch this car and this car into the right places, and we're going to get cracking on that for the rest of the day. Alright, so we got pretty far today. We didn't actually finish it, but everything went pretty good. The intercooler piping fit on with just some, trimming This is super rusted, so we just cut it out with the Sawzall. But we didn't really have to do much trimming and fitting. Intercooler fits pretty nice, and it worked okay. We might, you know, fidget with the clamps a bit as needed, but everything's kind of in there and working. Oil lines are done. So we basically have a turboed car. We just need to finish the rest of the stuff, injectors, ECU, tuning mods and stuff like that. So, hey, we're back, and you saw we were kind of working on this 240SX the other day. I took a few days off, like 14-ish, for obvious reasons with all the crazy things going away. But as you can see, like maybe 10 feet to my left over here, we've got Yari back in the video. We haven't seen him for quite a while. I'm just like happy to actually see him for a minute, even if it is at our interesting new social distance. So we're gonna go ahead and try to wrap up some of the stuff on this 240. I don't know if I showed a clip. If I didn't, I'll insert a picture here. I'm building this really janky looking wiring harness, and I'm just gonna call it that so that you guys don't have to do it in the comment section. I'm not a wiring expert, but I'm good enough to read a diagram and figure things out, you know? And nobody makes an OBD2 to OBD1 jumper harness for the S14 240SX. So we went ahead and built that jumper harness. And surprisingly enough, I got one wire wrong. It was a power wire, and once I moved it, the car fired up. And it's on a really cool ECU called Nismotronic, which uses the factory S13 computer and a little chip, kind of like a Honda, and that can control full parameters. In fact, if you're a Honda guy and you know what Neptune is, the same platform that they wrote the programming on for Neptune is what they use to write this program, and it's fantastic. Actually, K24de I think as well. It's all on the tuner code platform. Anyway, that's what's going in this car. It should have really, really good launch control, anti-lag, and the whole thing. And it's just been a long time since I've had like a real proper like 240SX in here, and the customer let me do whatever I want. And what I wanted was to do like a really, really capable factory ECU because I like how the electronics all work together. Okay, we're inside the 240SX, and I thought I would quickly show you, this is the ECU that we're using. It's got the Nismotronic daughter board that we've soldered the docking station in there for, and it's got these little wires that we had to solder into these pins. This is for the communication for data logging. And this, my friends, is my janky harness. It's actually pretty good. I actually had a friend send me this ECU and this harness out of a wrecked 240SX, 95 or 94 or something like that. And I cut the harness off, and then I took an ECU apart from the S15 or S14, which is this car, and I used his pin header because this pin header is unavailable. I can't actually buy one to build a harness, and nobody builds a jumper harness from OBD2 to OBD1 simply because they don't manufacture this plug anymore, which is just infuriating because it took me like, you know, a day or two of just kind of pinning wires together and making sure it was all right to get this correct. So luckily it's all working. I've got this kind of all taped apart so that it doesn't touch, but there's like 3 rows of wires, and I just soldered to the back of the pins. It's not the best thing in the world, but it will work, and I have a way to like make this more secure after I'm making sure it's all running and everything. So, but I would have to say, I mean, there's a lot more exciting things to talk about as far as cars and motorsports go, but this is at the heart of it all. If this stuff doesn't work, your car is going to be crap. I don't care what pistons, rods, or turbo you have. It's just not going to do or perform how you like. So it's going really, really good. I got the AEM wideband installed, and I'm allowing the computer to do a little fuel trimming for, you know, part throttle and cruise, so his gas mileage stays good. And every day when he starts the car up, it takes an initial reading off the map sensor, and based on that, trims the fuel in for the day, so it runs really well. So I'm very, very happy with the way this Nismotronic computer is running. And today we're basically just trying to finalize everything and make sure, you know, anything that's like leaking is fixed. And if everything goes really good, we'll put it on the dyno here in just a minute and see what kind of numbers we can get. It's gonna be a little bit of a surprise because we don't know what spring is in the wastegate. It came straight from CX Racing like this, and we're just not really sure what it is. So hopefully it's less than like 14 or 15 pounds because the motor is stock, and I'd really like him just to break it in. Okay, so you can see right here, here's the air-fuel ratio, and there's a table in the background that I've already configured that allows me to target what I'm looking for, which is about 14.5 air-fuel ratio. I just fired the car up and it's taking like, somewhere between 5 and 7% out as the car is kind of warming up, which is, you know, not that much. I would say anything under 5% is perfect. Under 10% is totally acceptable. And I'm just starting to tune this car, so I still may get it a little closer, but okay, we just made that first pull, and it's kind of hard to see, but it made just about 200 torque and 217 horsepower approximately. It's just kind of like a first pull. It's not really close yet, but I'm actually really happy with that, because if you figure this motor on my dyno probably only made 120 or 130 horsepower, we're making, you know, about 10 to 12 pounds of or horsepower per pound of boost. Final pull, about 210 foot-pounds of torque, 227 horsepower on 6.7 pounds, right around there. Pretty darn good. I'm really happy with that. The other cool thing is it's still got the stock clutch fan, so it stays like super cold, and it's like really hot today, probably 90 degrees, so we're not really having too much heat soak issues, which is really cool. So well, that was a pretty good day. 230 horsepower, a little dyno time. Finally getting out of my house for like you know, something more interesting than just catching up on every show on like Netflix and TV. Oh man, it's crazy. What have you guys been up to? Mostly I've been on my laptop doing like weird research on different EFI systems and stuff that I've just always wanted to brush up on, so I'm kind of using my time to learn new things, because I get really bored of TV after like a short period of time. But this was such a fun day. Anyway, comment below if you guys want to see some more videos. I guess I could just put one up here and there just to like kind of stay connected and just show you guys what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything big. We can't really get too many parts, and it's been kind of challenging to even work, but I just figured I'd make a video because I haven't for a while and just say hi to everybody. So hope everybody's staying safe, and maybe I'll see you guys in a couple days. All right, take it easy.